And Joshi, for many foreign leaders who have visited China before, the Tiananmen rostrum or the Forbidden City is a familiar sight. Many of them have been here before to the Forbidden City. However, this gathering here today holds a special significance.
Absolutely. The Tiananmen rostrum sits right in the heart of the Chinese capital with viewing platforms that can overlook the Tiananmen Square. The leaders will be walking towards the rostrum. They will ascend to the viewing platform on the rostrum and view the military parade together.
Now, as they walk on the red carpet to make their way to the top of the Tiananmen rostrum, a little bit of background information about the structure. It was built as a ceremonial gate to the imperial city in the Ming Dynasty. It's witnessed ties of Chinese history in the past 6 centuries.
And in 1937, Tiananmen Square witnessed the fall of Peking. In October 1945, Japanese invaders in North China officially surrendered at the square of the Hall of Supreme Harmony in the Forbidden City.
Today's commemoration is certainly a big national event, a military event as well, as troops and armaments are standing by ready for the inspection. It is also a significant diplomatic event. As heads of state, leaders of international organizations are convening here to review the commemoration and the parade.
The leaders are making full use of this time as they walk together to the Tiananmen rostrum, engaging in friendly chit-chat and conversations.
And today, the Tiananmen rostrum, steeped in the depths of history, will again witness new glory. It is a pretty long walk to ascend to the top of the Tiananmen rostrum.
"80 decades ago, World War II ended with over 100 million casualties among soldiers and civilians worldwide. Chinese casualties, more than 35 million. And today it's about commemorating the victory in that war, in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, as well as the World Anti-Fascist War. Now the leaders are arriving at that expansive viewing platform up on Tiananmen rostrum.
And we understand that some of the veterans of the War of Resistance were given their own viewing spots on top of the Tiananmen rostrum. Crowds are welcoming China's top leader, as well as international dignitaries. We're seeing veterans sitting there, and President Xi Jinping and international dignitaries. Veteran from the Kuomintang. And during the fight against the Japanese aggression, the Chinese people established a national united front to safeguard their homeland.
Obviously, the Chinese president was very pleased to see the veterans present up on the Tiananmen rostrum. He even introduced the veterans to his guests there, shaking hands with the veterans, greeting them, welcoming them to this very important commemoration.
And the veterans represent the legacies of this long fought war. And their spirit of resilience, of peace, of perseverance still echo on every inch of China's soil now.
It's certainly a very heartwarming scene there to have the veterans seated up on the Tiananmen rostrum. They are the real heroes and role models, and they motivate us to keep pushing forward. The victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression is a glory shared by the Chinese nation and also people worldwide who stand for justice. Professor Gao, Mr. Zhou, let's bring you in for this part. Obviously, the veterans are seated, out there on the Tiananmen rostrum so that they have an opportunity to participate in the commemoration today. What do you make of that arrangement, Professor Gao?
Well, I think this is really the right thing to do because they fought against the Japanese aggressors. They shed their blood, and they have always been honored by the People's Republic, by the Chinese people. And now they are in the center of this reviewing process of the parade to commemorate the 80th year anniversary of the victory against Japanese aggression. And I think we all hail them as the real heroes, defending China's sovereignty and territorial integrity and fighting off the Japanese aggressors.
Real heroes and real witnesses,
heroes.
not only to the atrocities of the war, but more importantly to the final victory. And we're so happy that they get to see the commemoration today. Mr. Zhou, your thoughts?
Well, I think I can't agree more with Victor Gao about the importance of having these veterans, standing on Tiananmen Square. I think it's rare, it won't be easy for us to see these people right now because they're all very old people, but they're still alive, but they can still see how strong China is today, in which they have made their due and a great contribution. So I think that is indeed a great honor for them to be there and for us to see them there.
Now, many of these veterans fought under extremely harsh conditions: poverty, famine, the lack of military resources. What does their perseverance teach us about the spirits of, resilience and courage? And, besides honoring them in events like this, what more could we do, Professor Gao, to really weave their legacies more into everyday life?
I think these veterans, 80 years ago, or more than 80 years ago, fought against Japanese aggressors not only as soldiers, but they were true representatives of the Chinese nation, true representative of the Chinese culture and the Chinese civilization. In their bodies, I can see the most splendid and the glorious part of the Chinese civilization. So they became the epitome of the Chinese nation. They became the epitome of the Chinese civilization. And by shedding blood for their own motherland, by fighting off foreign aggressors, they set an example for the future generation. So now we honor them as our national hero, and the younger generation draw inspiration from these veterans and learn lessons from them. And we become redoubled in our commitment to defending peace and defending China and defending the Chinese culture and ultimately the Chinese civilization.
Obviously, we're commemorating this day. We're inviting veterans up on the Tiananmen rostrum to carry on the spirit of the war of resistance against the Japanese aggression. Mr. Zhou, how do we do that? How do we make sure that the spirit of perseverance, the spirit of never surrender, the spirit of defending your motherland lives on in today's world?
Well, these people are actually old soldiers, right? And old soldiers never die. So what they have left us are actually a litany of fine traditions. But if you look at the PLA today, you would find it so interesting to see that how small they were at that time and how ill-equipped they were at that time. But on the contrary, today, China is almost the opposite, right? China is having the largest armed force in the world, and in a moment we're going to see all the modern weaponry and combat platforms. But still, this kind of fine traditions are basically in the heart and in the blood about modern day soldiers, because that's really, really matter. Yeah, for us, if you are going to another war. So you have to think of where you come from, right? And what kind of traditions are already placed in you. So these people basically are the very sources of a fine tradition.
How can remembering their sacrifices and contributions inspire values that are still relevant today? Professor Gao.
Well, I think they are the true Chinese nationals and our heroes. But allow me to mention, behind these veterans, I also see those who fell on the battlefield, who really sacrificed their lives for the Chinese nation. So I think we not only see these veterans who are the true representative of those heroes fighting against Japanese aggressors, but they are also representatives of all the millions of the Chinese soldiers who shed their blood, who sacrificed their life, and they too become the national heroes for the current generation of the Chinese nation and the future generations. And I think by honoring them, we honor ourselves, we honor our national history and our Chinese civilization, and we honor peace. That is the most important.
You know, we talked about international solidarity towards ending the Second World War, and the international solidarity is also present today with the turnout of those international dignitaries that have arrived in Beijing. You're looking at live pictures of the Tiananmen Square that's fully decorated for the commemoration today. There are the year marking installations that show the years 1945 and 2025. Today is September 3rd. In the capital, Beijing, the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in the World Anti-Fascist War will begin soon.
CGTN is broadcasting the commemoration live to global audiences. We're now watching live pictures from the Tiananmen Square. The commemoration is going to begin in just a moment.
State and party leaders Xi Jinping, Li Qiang, Zhao Leqing, Guo Hu, Cai Qi, Ding Xuxiang, Li Xi, and Hao Zheng have come to the Tiananmen Mosque. Dozens of foreign politicians and dignitaries attend the ceremony after the teaching.
Retired leaders of the party and the state, veteran soldiers who participated in the war of resistance, representatives appointing down veteran soldiers who had fought in Japanese aggression, family members of American officers who died in the war of resistance, representatives of wars for their service, and representatives of Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore, as well as the peacetime and we could see the obelisk, the monument to the people's heroes.
纪念中国人民
The
抗日
commemoration
战争
of the 80th
暨
anniversary
世界
of
反
the
法西
victory
斯
of the
战争
Chinese
胜
People's
利
War of
80
resistance
周年
against
大会
Japanese aggression and
现
the
在
World
开始。
Anti-Fascist War now begins.
请全体肃立，
Please all rise and stand at attention.
鸣礼炮。
Fire the gun.
An 80-gun salute is fired to mark the 80 years since the victory of the War of Resistance. The thunder of guns resembles roars of soldiers on the battleground. It is also like a song of triumph, sending the time and space to tell our fallen heroes. China today is a great country with majestic mountains and rivers, and its people are full of pride and ambition.
Great changes have taken place over the 80 years from 1945 to 2025. Today, China is safeguarding world peace and contributing to the progress of human civilization with fearless strength and determination. The Great Wall symbolizes the unyielding spirit of the Chinese nation. This great nation never bows to any enemy or any force. Those who dare to invade us are doomed to crash into the iron Great Wall with bloodshed.
Chinese people's deep love towards the motherland can be seen from the steadfast gaze of the honor guards. When their patriotism erupts like a volcano, there will be no insurmountable hurdles or unachievable feats for them. The wheel of history never stops. Under the strong leadership of the Communist Party of China, the Chinese nation, with a firm grip on its own destiny, is marching forward staunchly and proudly.
From the monument of the people's heroes to the national flagpole, and from the great victory to the great rejuvenation, the Chinese nation has walked a long way of innumerable difficulties and hardships.
This is a road to national independence and people's liberation. It is also a road to national dignity, prosperity, and strength, and a road to Chinese modernization and a global community with a shared future.
The national anthem, March of the Volunteers, which was born during wartime, will soon be played. It was written in 1935 in the early years of the war against Japanese aggression.
升国旗，
Raise the national
唱
flag
国歌。
and sing the national anthem.
请坐下。
Please be seated.
请中共中央
I
总书记、
invite General
中华
Secretary
人
of
民
the
共和
CPC
国
Central
主
Committee,
席、
President of the
中
People's
央军委
Republic of
主
China
席
and Chairman of
习近
the
平同志
Central Military
发
Commission,
表
Comrade
重
Xi
要讲
Jinping,
话
to。deliver an important speech.
全国同胞们，
All my fellow Chinese across the
尊
nation,
敬的各位国家元首
Your Excellencies,
政府
heads of
首脑
state and government,
和
and
国际组织代
representatives
表
of，international organizations,
尊敬的各位来宾，
distinguished guests,
全体受阅将士们、
all officers and
同
soldiers
志们、
participating in the
朋
parade,
友们，
comrades and
今
friends.
天我们
Today,
隆重集会，
We gather here to
纪
solemnly
念中国人民
commemorate
抗日
the
战
80th
争
anniversary of the victory
及
of the
世
Chinese
界
People's
反法
War
西
of
战争
Resistance against
胜
the
利
Japanese
80周
aggression
年，
and the World Anti-Fascist War.
共同铭记历史，
It is an occasion
缅
for
怀
us to
先
remember
烈，
history,
珍
honor
爱
fallen
和
heroes,
平，
cherish
开
peace,
创未来。
and create a better future.
我代表中共中
On
央、
behalf of the Central Committee of the
全
Communist
国
Party
人
of
大、
China, the National People's
国
Congress,
务院、
the State Council,
全国政协、
the National Committee of the Chinese People's
中央
Political
军委
Consultative Conference, and the Central Military Commission,
向全国
I would
参
like
加
to
过
pay high
抗日战
tribute
争的
to
老
our
战士、
veteran soldiers and
老
comrades,
同志、
patriots,
爱国人
and
士，
officers who
和
fought in the
抗日
war
将
of
领，
resistance against Japanese aggression,
向为中国人民抗日战争胜利
and to the Chinese nationals
做出
from home
重大
and
贡
abroad
献的
who made important
海内
contributions
外
to
中华
our
儿女，
victory.
致以崇高敬意，向支
I
援
would also like to express
和帮助
my
过
sincere
中
thanks
国人民
to
抵抗侵略的外国政
foreign
府
governments
和国际
and
友
friends
人，
that
表示
supported
衷
and
心
assisted
感
the
谢，
Chinese people in resisting aggression.
向参加今天大会的
I
各国
also
来
extend
宾
a warm welcome
表
to our
示
guests
热烈
from
欢
around
迎
the world who are with us today.
同志们、朋友们，
Comrades and friends,
中国人民抗日战争
The Chinese people's
是
war
艰
of
苦卓
resistance
绝
against
的
the Japanese aggression
伟大战
was the
争。
Great War fought with tenacity
在
and
中国
valor.
共产党倡导建立的
Under the banner of the
抗日民族统一
National
战线
United
旗帜
Front
下，
against Japanese aggression
中
established
国人
at
民
the
以铮
initiative
铮
of
铁
the
骨
Communist Party of
战
China,
强敌，
the Chinese people
以
stood
血
up
肉之
to
躯
fight the
筑
formidable
长
enemy
城，
within iron view
取
and
得
formed a
近
great
代以
war
来
with flesh and blood to
反抗
defend the
外敌
nation
入
and
侵的
ultimately achieved
第
the
一
first
次
complete
完
victory
全胜利。
in resisting foreign aggression in modern times.
中国人民抗日战争
The Chinese
是
people's
世
war
界
of
反
resistance
法
against
西
the
斯
Japanese
战争
aggression
的
was
重
an
要组
important
成
part
部
of the
分。
world anti-fascist war.
中国人民以巨大的
With huge
民族
national
牺牲，
sacrifice, the Chinese people
为拯救
made
人类文
major
明，
contributions
保
to
卫
saving
世界
human
和平，
civilization and
做出
safeguarding
了
world
重大
peace.
贡献。历史警示我们，
History cautions us
人类命运
that
休戚与共，
humanity rises and falls together
各个国家、各个民族只有
only
平等
when
相
all
待、
countries and
和
nations
睦相处、
treat each other
守
as
望
equals,
相助，
coexist in
才
peace,
能维
and
护
support each
共
other,
同安全，
can we uphold common
消灭
security,
战争根源，
eradicate the root cause of
不
war,
让历史悲
and
剧
prevent
重演。
the reoccurrence of historical tragedies.
同志们、朋友们，
Comrades and friends,
中华民族是不畏强暴
the， Chinese nation is the
自
great
立自
nation
强
that
的
is
伟大
never
民族。
intimidated by any bullies
当年
and always values
面对
independence
正
and
义与
forges
邪
ahead.
恶、光
In
明
the
与
past,
黑
when
暗、
faced with critical struggles
进
between
步与
good and
反动
evil,
的
light and
生死
darkness,
较量，
progress and reaction, the Chinese
中
people
国人民同仇
rallied
敌忾，
together to defy
奋
the
起反
enemy.
抗，为国家生存而战，
They fought for the
为
survival
民
of the
族复
country,
兴而战，
for the rejuvenation
为
of the
人
Chinese
类正
nation,
义而
and
战。
for justice of the whole humanity.
今天，人类又面
Today,
临和平还是战
humanity
争、
again has to choose
对话
between
还
peace
是对
and
抗、
war, dialogue
共
and
赢还是
confrontation,
零和的抉择。
win-win cooperation and zero-sum game.
中国人民坚定站在历史
The
正确
Chinese
一边，
people firmly stand
站
on
在
the
人
right
类
side
文
of
明
history
进步
and the
一边，
progress of human civilization.
坚持走和平发展道
We
路，
will remain committed to the path
与
of
各国
peaceful
人民
development
携手
and
构
join
建
hands with all
人类
peoples
命
around the
运共
world
同
in
体。
building a community with a shared future for humanity.
中国人民解放军
The Chinese People's
始
Liberation
终是
Army has been
党和人
and
民
will always be
完全可以
the
信
heroic
赖的
armed
英
forces that
雄
the
部队。
party and the people can fully trust
全军
and
将
rely
士
on.
要忠实履行神圣
All
职
service
责，
members should
加快
faithfully
建设
perform their
世界
sacred
一
duties,
流军队，
speed up the building of a
坚决维
world-class
护
military,
国家主
and
权、
firmly safeguard
统一、
China's sovereignty,
领土完整
unity,，and territorial integrity.
为实现中华民族伟大
All
复兴
service members should
提
provide
供战略支
strategic
撑，
support for the great
为
rejuvenation of the
世界
Chinese
和
nation
平与发
and make
展
greater
做
contributions
出
to the
更大
peace
贡
and
献。
development of the world.
历史承载过去，
History
也
carries
启
the
迪未
legacy
来
of。the past and inspires the future
新时代新征程，
on a new journey in a
全国
new
各族
era.
人民
The Chinese people,
要在中
of
国共
all
产党
ethnic
坚
groups,
强领导
should,
下，
under the strong leadership of the Communist Party of
坚
China,
持马克思列宁主
follow
义、
Marxism, Leninism,
毛泽东
Mao
思
Zedong
想、
thought,
邓小平理
Deng
论
Xiaoping theory,
三个代表重要思
the
想、
theory of three represents,
科学发展
and
观
the scientific outlook, and
全面
development,
贯彻新时代
and fully
中国
implement
特
the
色
thoughts on
社会
socialism
主义思
with
想，
Chinese characteristics for the new era.
坚定不移走中国特色
We
社
should
会主
stay
义道
firmly
路，
on the path of socialism with
传
Chinese
承和弘
characteristics
扬
and carry
伟
forward
大
the great
抗战精
spirit
神，
of the war of
出
resistance.
力奋发，
We should press
勇
ahead
毅
with
前行，
enterprise and resolve,
为
and
以中国式
advance
现
in
代
unity
化
the cause of building
全面
China
推
into a
进
great
强
country
国建
on
设、
all fronts and
民族
realizing great
复兴
national
伟业、
rejuvenation through
而
China's
团结奋
modernization.
斗。中华民族伟大复兴势
The
不可
great
挡，
rejuvenation of the Chinese
人类
nation
和
is
平与发展的
irresistible.
崇高
The
事
noble
业
cause of peace
必
and
将胜
development
利。
of humanity will prevail. The military parade now begins. Markers in position.
The parade guards mark positions and boundaries at the parade ground. 60 soldiers will line up in front of the eastern and western ornament columns on the Tiananmen Square.
Marching with steadfast footsteps and imposing bearing, the ironclad troops showcase their unshakable faith, strong conviction, strict discipline, and firm commitment to their duties.
Standing firm on the ground of the motherland and bearing the hope of the Chinese nation, the heroic People's Liberation Army has forged ahead dauntlessly throughout wars, achieving great historic feats for the party and the people.
At this solemn moment today, the People's Armed Forces are ready for the inspection of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, Chinese President, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xi Jinping. They are also ready to be reviewed by the party and the people.
Comrade Chairman, the troops for review are fully prepared. Please proceed with the inspection. Chief Commander of the Parade, Han Zhengxuan. Let's begin.
Next, President Xi will pay an eye salute to the party national and military flags.
In a typical back and forth, President Xi says, "Salute to you, comrades." And the soldiers reply, "Hail to Chairman." The president then says, "Comrades, thank you for your hard work." To which the soldiers reply, "We serve the people."
As you can hear right there, the phrase "serve the people" was written into the party constitution at the 7th National Congress, the Communist Party of China, in 1945. Serving the people wholeheartedly was established as the fundamental principle of the party and the People's Liberation Army. As
President Xi's car rides past each segment of the troops, he greets the soldiers. The troops respond vociferously, paying respect and demonstrating their loyalty. These phrases are used in inspections, parades, and other military gatherings.
The PLA views itself not only as the defender of national sovereignty, but as an integral part of society. It is a direct responsibility to safeguard people's well-being. In peacetime, the Chinese military participates in missions that serve the people's interests, such as disaster relief. And all this has earned them the title the most beloved people in China.
Now President Xi is heading back to the Tiananmen Wall Street. When President Xi's car rides past the troops, the soldiers shout, "Follow the party's command, fight to win, forge exemplary conduct. Justice will prevail, peace will prevail, the people will prevail."
party's command sets the military's political orientation. Fighting to win is the basic function of the military, and the fundamental objective is development. Forging exemplary conduct demonstrates the Army's nature and principle.
Justice will prevail. Peace will prevail. The people will prevail. These three phrases were the closing lines of President Xi's speech 10 years ago, when the country marked the 70th anniversary of the victory of Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. The foot formations are now adjusting their lines. Vehicles and armaments are lining up. They will soon march to the Tiananmen rostrum.
The People's Liberation Army is known as the PLA. In 1927, its frontrunners were founded by the Communist Party of China. It was originally called the Chinese Workers and Peasants Red Army. This year marks the 98th anniversary of the founding of the PLA.
During the 14-year-long War of Resistance, under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, the 8th Red Army and the New 4th Army, together with the Chinese people, defeated the Japanese forces and enveloped the invaders. They asserted their role in the battlefields and achieved victory in the war for national liberation.
Since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, the PLA has also undertaken the tasks of national defense and socialist construction, while transforming itself into a more revolutionary and modernized military.
Alongside the latest generation of conventional weapons, the parade will feature unmanned intelligence systems, underwater combat units, cyber and electronic forces, and hypersonic weapons, highlighting the PLA's growing capacity to harness emerging technologies, adapt to the evolving character of warfare, and prevail in future conflicts.
Just as China's weaponry has seen remarkable evolution over the years, the Chinese military has also continuously strengthened itself by reinforcing the primacy of political guidance and advancing comprehensive reforms.
China pursues a national defense policy that is defensive in nature. China will never seek hegemony, expansion, or spheres of influence.
Today, the PLA protects China and its people while making significant contributions to safeguarding world peace. It is the largest contributing country for peacekeepers among the permanent members of the UN Security Council.
China has formulated a three-step development strategy for modernizing national defense and the armed forces to achieve the centenary goals of strengthening the PLA by 2027, realize the modernization of national defense and the armed forces by 2035, and fully build the military into a world-class one by 2050.
The centenary objectives state that by 2027, China will accelerate the integrated development of mechanization, informationization, and intelligentization, accelerate the modernization of military theory, organizational forms, personnel, weaponry, and prioritize quality and efficiency to enhance operational efficiency of military systems, and optimize the utilization of defense resources to promote the synchronized growth of defense and economic strengths. Warplanes that form the aerial echelons will take off from several airports, fly over the Tiananmen Square.
A total of 45 formations and echelons are involved in the Grand Parade. During the parade march past, airborne flag-guarding echelons, foot formations, battle flag formations, armored columns, and aerial echelons will pass through and fly past Tiananmen Square in order. The parade is organized under a wartime command system. It will involve thousands of troops, over 100 aircraft, and hundreds of ground armies.
Commence the march past.
Flag guides the direction. Flag full strength. The march past begins with the airborne flag guard echelon.
Accompanied by impassioned military music, the flag of the CPC, the national flag of the People's Republic of China, and the flag of the People's Liberation Army are fluttering high in the air. 26 helicopters form huge numerical shapes of 8 and 0. 3 helicopters bearing the banners that read, "Justice will prevail, peace will prevail, the people will prevail." These messages are a great truth inspired by history, a solemn proclamation of the right course, a clarion call in an era of peace and development.
The Chinese nation always cherishes peace and takes side with historical correctness, fairness, and justice. The people's military will always be an iron brick wall, defending national sovereignty, security, and relevant interests, as well as a pillar of world peace.
45 formations and echelons participate in the parade, and most of the weapons and equipment are shown to the public for the first time. It not only embodies the continuation of the heroic armed forces during the War of Resistance, but also demonstrates a new look of the people's military in the new era with enhanced critical awareness and its new structure and force composition, new progress and modernization, and new achievements, and some combat readiness.
First to be inspected are 13 flag formations. After a comprehensive and deepened reform, the People's Military has formed a new system of services and arms. 4 service formations, 4 armed formations, and the formation of the armed police force will be holding their respective flags to make a good debut during the parade. Holding high the party, national, and military flags. The formation of the Guard of Honor of the PLA is marching toward us. The People's Armed Forces, under the leadership of the CPC, are always the defenders of the country, socialism, and people's interests.
The Army formation is marching towards us as the earliest armed forces established and led by the party. The PLA Army fought the enemies fearlessly and achieved immortal feats through countless battles. In the new era, the Army is transforming itself fast to operate in multiple domains.
Now coming is the Navy formation. Breaking the waves and navigating to the deep blue, the PLA Navy has comprehensively strengthened its maritime deterrent and combat capabilities to safeguard peace and stability at the sea, moving fast to become a world-class naval force.
Coming up next is the Air Force formation. Building a strong Air Force has been the unremitting pursuit of the party and the people. Taking off in times of wars and sharpening its edge through battles, the PLA Air Force is making great strides towards integrating air and space capabilities and coordinating offensive and defensive operations.
Now under inspection is the Rocket Force formation. As a core force of China's strategic deterrence, the PLA Rocket Force serves as the strategic support of China's status as a big power and an important cornerstone to safeguard national security. It strives to become a modern armed force with both nuclear and conventional capabilities and able to deter wars in all battle spaces.
The Aerospace Force formation is making their debut in the parade. As a new domain, new calling force advocating peaceful utilization of space, PLA Aerospace Force safeguards the lasting peace and continuity of space, and offers strategic support to bringing a great power in aerospace.
Also making its debut is the Cyber Space Force formation. China advocates building a peaceful, secure, open, cooperative, and orderly cyberspace. Through building a cyber Great Wall, China decisively safeguards its network security and sovereignty in the digital battlefield.
The Information Support Force formation is also making its debut at the Tiananmen Square. As a brand new strategic arm, the PLA Information Support Force is capable of capturing information heights, strives for innovation and development, and provides support to win informationized and intelligent wars in multiple domains.
Now receiving inspection is the Joint Logistics Support Force formation. Self-reliance during the war's assistance all the way to becoming part of the synchronized operational systems and providing effective and precise assistance in the new era. The PLA Joint Logistics Support System has made new strides.
Now under inspection is the Armed Police Force formation. From metropolises to remote coastal areas, the People's Armed Force Police Force either performing regular duties, handling emergencies, or engaging in rescue operations is dedicated to safeguarding national security, social stability, and ensuring people's well-being. Distinguished by its versatility and effectiveness in maintaining stability, the Armed Police Force is always a loyal guard of the party and the people.
Next comes the Reserve Force formation. New types of reserve forces have been fully integrated into the leadership and command systems of the military. They're ever prepared to fight and carry out the missions of the people's military in coordination with the active duty forces in the new era.
The Army and the people are the foundation of victory. Now marching forward is the militia formation. The militia women are from the major wartime counter-Japanese base areas across China. During the war of resistance, Chinese people, regardless of their gender or ages, acted as one in safeguarding their homes. The genes passed on from one generation to another. In the new era, the militia forces provide backup services during peaceful time.
China has been contributing to maintaining world peace. The peacekeeping force formation is marching towards us. China is the largest troop contributing country for peacekeeping among the permanent members of the UN Security Council. Having participated in UN peacekeeping operations for 35 years, the Chinese peacekeeping forces have confronted daunting challenges and fulfilled their missions. The forces have guarded world peace without hesitating to sacrifice their lives, demonstrating through their action how China assumes its responsibility as a major power, making great contributions to building a community with a shared future for humanity.
This majestic bearing, the 7 combat groups of the armament formations, led by the Banner formation, are ready to be revealed. Once utilizing inferior weapons during the War of Resistance, the DLA has accelerated to develop new weapons, including massively deployed killer heavyweight weapons, thus being better equipped to deter enemies and win the war.
The Banner formation showcases 80 honorary banners of the hero unit troops, bearing glory from the past. The banners symbolize heroism and victory, and will always propel the People's Army to forge ahead.
4 formations of the land combat group are ready to be revealed. Marching towards us is the ground assault formation, grouped in an arrow-shaped array. The Type 99E tank features strong striking abilities, powered with information. The Type 100 tank and Type 100 fighting vehicle are highly intelligent, capable of coordinated combat. The new generation armored units of the DLA Army's ground assault forces demonstrate the strong ability of capturing strongholds with mobility and piercing fortification.
Coming up next is the amphibious assault vehicle formation, made up of amphibious wheeled armored assault vehicles, infantry fighting vehicles, and self-propelled howitzers. Capable of storming the shoreline for assault with strong mobility and flexibility, they are key armaments for the Marine Corps to take the lead in landing operations and make key area seizure.
Marching towards us is the imposing airborne assault formation. diverse airborne armaments formation are able to make long-distance aircraft, provide heavily equipped nuclear security. They are sharp weapons for the Army, rapid response, and deep strike.
Marching forward is the formation of long-range artillery for subjugation and precision strike. The two types of 191 box-shaped rocket artilleries are capable of making strike and providing support, expanding the Army's capability in terrestrial battle.
Next to be reviewed are 3 formations of maritime combat group. First comes the carrier-based air defense weapon formation. Being reviewed are 4 types of armaments that compose a 3-dimensional system of air defense covering all ranges. The carrier-based laser weapons are strongly capable of precision disruption and persistent strike, defining the new landscape of maritime attack and defense.
The anti-ship missile formation consists of NG-15 missile, NG-19, NG-17, and NG-20 hypersonic missiles. Missiles can be deployed on multiple platforms, such as carrier-based aircraft, surface vessels, and submarines. Featuring long-range strike, fast speed, and strong destruction, they're sharp weapons for striking enemies at the sea.
Now on parade is the underwater weapon formation. Light and heavy torpedoes, as well as torpedoes propelled by rockets, are able to strike vessels and to strike undersea targets. New special purpose naval mines can autonomously identify and attack targets. Or key forces guarding strongholds and making waves in naval warfare.
3 formations of the Air Defense and Anti-Missile Operations Group will be inspected. Here comes the Early Warning Detection Formation. The 4 types of weapons that are being inspected are all new generations of domestically made, highly mobile radar. Through coordination, they can detect stealth aircraft and ballistic missiles far and near. They provide early warning for the country's airspace and aerial security.
Under review now is the anti-aircraft combat formation. It's a heroic unit which has accomplished glorious wartime feats. 6 types of ground-to-air missiles, including NG-20, NG-19, and NG-29, are now being made public at TNM. They can carry out multi-range and multi-layered anti-ballistic defense capable of fighting against all submarine threats from the air.
Here comes the N-18 drone's formation, set to defend a low-altitude domain. It includes N-18 drones missile and artillery systems, high-energy laser weapons, and high-powered microwave weapons. The trio work together to disable and destroy enemy drones.
Next to be reviewed is the Information Warfare Group, which consists of 3 formations. Driving towards us is the Cyberspace Combat Formation. The 4 types of equipment being inspected can command and control detected sins, carry out cyber and electronic countermeasures, and integrated weapons. It is a new force that consolidates cyber defense and powers joint force operations.
Here comes the electronic countermeasure formation. 5 types of your key equipment are displayed. They can detect and monitor all frequencies and subdue the enemy forces precisely. They are capable of aerial and space countermeasures and disconnecting the enemy networks. They are a crucial force in securing victory on doomed multi-domain battlefields.
Now we have the Information Support Formation. It is made up of vehicles capable of ground computing, digital intelligence, forming air-ground networks, integrating information to the battlefield. They can quickly establish new types of internet communication systems to support joint operations.
Next to be inspected is the Unmanned Combat Group, consisting of 3 formations. First, we have the Unmanned Land Combat Formation. These unmanned vehicles carry out various tasks such as reconnaissance, assaults, mine and bomb defusing and removal, and SWAT assistance. They can be operated remotely and are able to move independently, work flexibly in groups, and make intelligent maneuvers. With that, the Army can make coordinated operations with command and unmanned forces.
Now approaching is the Unmanned Maritime Combat Formation. Being reviewed now are new types of unmanned underwater vehicles and unmanned surface vehicles, as well as underwater mine deployment systems, which are capable of hit deployment and blockade, independent target identification, and group-based attacks. They are extraordinary weaponry to win maritime combat.
Passing by next is the Unmanned Aerial Combat Formation. The new models of weapons include reconnaissance and strike drones, unmanned wing planes, unmanned air domination planes, and unmanned aircraft carrier-borne helicopters. Covering a wide range of space, they can attack in a way that is difficult to be detected and can automatically coordinate with one another, creating a new model of future-oriented aerial combat scenario.
The two formations of the Logistics and Equipment Support Group are to be revealed. The Logistics Support Formation consists of field ambulances, field hospital installations, field transport and field vehicles, and field top wheel providing system. They have greatly enhanced modern logistics support for the troops.
放飞和平鸽。纪念中国人民抗日战争 暨世界反法西斯战争胜利80周年大会到此结束。
I now welcome our second panel, Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia from the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Your full statement will be submitted for the record. We ask you summarize your statement in 5 minutes. Chairman Comer, I welcome your testimony.
Thank you, Dr. Fox and Mr. McGovern. Today, the Oversight Committee met with survivors of the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Their stories are heartbreaking. What they have suffered and endured should never have happened and is sickening. They were not only victims of crimes, but were betrayed by their own government. Since 1996, let me repeat that, since 1996, the FBI has ignored tips. Then U.S. attorneys gave Epstein a sweetheart deal to avoid significant jail time. The government simply disregarded the law and ignored the victims of these crimes. It was and is unacceptable. For the past 6 weeks, the House Oversight Committee has worked tirelessly to request documents and testimony regarding Epstein and Maxwell. We have subpoenaed Maxwell for a deposition, DOJ for documents, 10 former federal officials for depositions, the Epstein estate for documents, and agreed to a transcribed interview with Alex Acosta. This is the most thorough investigation into Epstein and Maxwell to date, and we are getting results. We have already deposed former Attorney General Bill Barr. The Department of Justice provided nearly 34,000 pages of documents and will produce more, which are being made public as we speak. When we conclude this, all those documents should be online unless we have a crash or something with the computer. The estate will begin producing documents September the 8th. That's the Epstein estate. The committee is working at an unprecedented pace and doing the work as it is supposed to be done. What we heard today is that these survivors support these efforts and support transparency and accountability, goals we all share. This resolution furthers those goals. It supports our work. It supports the release of documents. And most importantly, it achieves what the survivors want. There's no question that Epstein and Maxwell were terrible criminals. With your support and the support of the House, we can continue to do the work to provide closure and justice to the hundreds of victims. I urge support of this resolution and I welcome your questions. Madam Chair, I yield back and thank you for being in that discussion today as well.
Thank you, Mr. Comer. Mr. Garcia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to begin in a very bipartisan manner. Earlier today, I think both Republicans and Democrats got a chance to hear just horrific stories and to hear these incredible and brave women. Thank you. Earlier today, we heard, of course, these horrific stories from these women who are incredibly brave and the courage that they showed to be here to share stories of sexual abuse, some of them when they were girls, young girls, I think has shaken a lot of us on this committee and reaffirmed our commitment to the truth and transparency. Now, the Oversight Committee, particularly Democrats, are going to continue to investigate the Epstein files and bring justice to the victims of these heinous crimes. After meeting with the survivors, of course, of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, we're once again reminded of the monstrous actions that they took against over 1,000 women and girls. It's important that we center their stories and work for accountability. And I want to just remind this committee and the public that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are monsters, criminals, liars, and in no way should they be lionized or supported. And it is an outrage that Ghislaine Maxwell has been moved to a facility where she is now more comfortable. And I think it's also appropriate to say that that was also horrifying to the women in the testimony that we heard today. And re-traumatizing the victims because of this move is shameful and should never have happened in this country. When you harm innocent women and girls, you should be held accountable. And I'm hopeful that in a bipartisan way, this committee will do that. Now, I appreciate that, of course, close to 34,000 pages of documents have been released by the Department of Justice. That is complying with the subpoena, of course, that was put forward. But over 97% of those documents have already been released to the public. And I'm glad that we're releasing all those files to the American public. Most of it's already in the public record. What we need right now is full compliance with the subpoena. And the Attorney General, who once said that the files were on her desk, should release all the files immediately. There cannot be additional failures or additional cover-ups by this government that has already failed these victims now for decades. That cannot continue. We've got to follow the facts. We've got to get all the files out to the public, and we've got to ensure that there's justice for all of the victims and the girls. I also just want to add that Oversight Democrats have supported every single time there's been an opportunity to support transparency. We, of course, forced a vote to release and get the subpoena out. We will continue to take those actions. But any action that promotes transparency, we're going to support. If there's going to be a resolution, of course, it's going to come in front of the Congress to support additional transparency and openness in the Epstein files. We are going to support that. And any other committee that brings forward any other resolutions, we will support. But that does not somehow supplant the work on the discharge petition that Congressman Khanna and Congressman Massey are moving forward. We will continue to support that discharge petition, and we will support any other resolutions that come forward that also holds Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and anyone else accountable. And I'll conclude just by saying that it is our hope that this investigation takes on and leads us to the truth. And we do not care how powerful you are, what political party you're in, how much wealth you have, or how connected you are. If you cause harm to these women and these girls, then we're coming after you, and justice should be served. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you very much. Chairman Comer, would you like to respond to anything Ranking Member Garcia had to say?
I appreciate his statement that this has been bipartisan thus far. I think this is an opportunity for this committee to demonstrate that we can work together in a bipartisan way. This is a bipartisan issue. Every Republican I know in Congress wants the Epstein files to be released. Every Republican in Congress I know wants the people that were trafficking women to be held accountable. Every single Republican I know wants the government officials who were involved in any potential cover-up or blackmail operation, if there was one, to be outed and held accountable. So we're going to try to do everything we can to get this. I think we've demonstrated that. I'm a Republican. We subpoenaed Bill Barr. We subpoenaed Alex Acosta. We subpoenaed Pam Bondi for the Epstein documents. I don't remember when I was in the minority, a Democrat chairman subpoenaed any Democrat officials in the administration. So we've demonstrated we don't care about political party. We don't care about what your last name is. We don't care how powerful you are. We want to know the truth, and we're doing everything we can. And I hope that the Democrats will work with us in this endeavor and not politicize it.
Thank you. I agree with you, and I was in that hearing for most, or the meeting with the victims today. And I appreciated very much, Mr. Garcia, what you said about this being a bipartisan effort and there being so many Democrat members there. But I also agree that there hasn't been this level of interest in this issue before.
Right.
I've been here a long time.
It dates back, what we learned from today, it dates back to 96. It dates back six prior administrations. So there have been many other administrations that could have released it and for whatever reason hasn't. But thus far, this administration is producing documents like we've asked, and I appreciate that.
Right. So you've stated a little bit already, the information you've already received from the Trump administration after the subpoena for the records was executed, and how quickly the committee started receiving the information.
Yeah, as soon as the subpoena went out, we heard from the Department of Justice. Their attorneys started communicating with our attorneys, and they started gathering the documents, and I think we got the documents in record time. I can't remember a time when we subpoenaed the Merrick Garland Department of Justice and never got anything from them. So I applaud the Pam Bondi and the Trump administration for working with the committee and for being transparent.
And as you just mentioned, there have been times when you have requested information. I can remember I'd been here 3 months and I was on the Oversight Committee, on a subcommittee, and we had a bureaucrat come in, and the chairman of the committee said, I've asked you for 3 years to give us information. And the person just sat there and wouldn't say a word and wouldn't respond in any way. Wouldn't you rather have a subpoena in hand above everything else, even a law passed by Congress?
Absolutely.
Which can be challenged in court immediately to get this information?
Absolutely. We're doing what that discharge petition wants done. And we're 3 steps ahead of that discharge petition. We've already deposed former Attorney General Bill Barr. We've already subpoenaed the estate, the Epstein estate, for all the documents.
And
we've already subpoenaed.
September 8th, the material would come from them?
I'm sorry?
You said the Epstein estate is going to start producing
September
material?
8th. September 8th, they're going to produce the documents from the estate. I believe September the 16th or 19th one, Alex Acosta's coming in for a deposition. And I know that during our discussion, Ms. Crockett and Raj Krishnamurti, I believe, asked questions about what we should ask Acosta. So everybody, both sides are going to get equal time to interview Acosta on all of that. And again, the administration has complied with our request, and I think we're getting those documents, and as we speak, they should be being uploaded to a website right now.
And it's my understanding that the Massey document, the Massey legislation, only asks only for information from the administration. Is that correct?
That's right.
It doesn't go beyond the administration.
Right, and we're going to go beyond it. We're already getting the documents from the administration, and we've moved way past, because that discharge petition was filed 6 weeks ago. We've already deposed, again, the former attorney general. We've got dates set for others to come in. We're downloading 34,000 pages of documents. We met with the victims today and got more names that they said in front of the minority, and we're going to press forward with that. So we're way ahead of this discharge petition. I don't think it's necessary at all.
And and you are going to be in a very unique position of being the arbiter of any needed redactions, keeping that decision in the hands of members of Congress, correct?
Correct. And there were, one of the victims today made it very clear she didn't want her name, made public. Others said they were willing to let their names be public and were willing to testify in a public hearing. And so, you have to know, you have to have grant privacy rights to the victims. Some of the victims want their names out there, and some want their names to be redacted.
And it's my understanding that was not sufficiently taken care of.
That's correct.
In the Massey legislation.
That's correct. And I also want to mention that Speaker Johnson sat through the whole meeting today with the victims, the entire 2.5 hour discussion we had, bipartisan discussion.
And what I heard from the victims was that they feel for the first time that they're being heard.
They feel that they're being heard, but they made it very clear they don't have a lot of trust in anyone affiliated with the government, because they believe that their government has let them down. And the timeline of that would date over both Republican and Democrat administrations in the past.
Correct. So let me see if I can put all this together. You believe a formalized investigation by the House is the best path forward to obtain the records and disclose them to the people.
Yes.
You've made a commitment, and our resolution makes a commitment to disclose everything that can possibly be disclosed short of violating the privacy rights of others.
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
And by having the full House vote and speak in support of this investigation, it will be helpful to you in executing the mission that you're about. Is that correct?
Absolutely. If we have to go to court for something, if it's a good bipartisan vote in the House of Representatives, that only helps.
Okay, I appreciate that very much. Mr. McGovern.
Thank you very much. First, I think I want to ask unanimous consent to insert into the record the Massey Kana resolution, because you keep on saying that it doesn't protect the victims, but there's in yellow here, there's some pretty explicit language about protecting the identity of the victim. So I don't want there to be any confusion.
Without objection.
And, Mr. Comer says it's unnecessary, but this bill we're doing right now is unnecessary because you're already doing something. So I can't help but feel that this is like cover. And I got to be honest with you, we've been trying to bring, legislation to the floor. We're trying to, amend bills to try to get this administration to do what Trump said he was going to do during the campaign, and that is release all the files. We had to recess early because people didn't want to take a vote on it. And I think, I appreciate the niceties of both of you appearing before this committee right now, but I got to tell you, I think what's going on here today is the Republicans are terrified. And I think we all know why. And that is because the president doesn't want to release all the files. I mean, after promising that he would release them during the campaign, then he issued, that was in 2024, and then 2025, he says, it's all a big hoax. It's perpetrated by Democrats and some stupid Republicans. That's his quote verbatim. So when you say all Republicans want this stuff released, I don't think that guy does.
That's right.
And what you're telling us that you're going to release some of the files tonight, if I heard Mr. Garcia correctly, 97% of which is already out in public. So we get 3% that's new. I don't know what it's going to say, but I just don't understand what the big deal is. Why can't the administration just release the files? You can do the investigation, but just release all the files. Trump and the people he put in charge of the FBI and the DOJ promised that they would. And it's just kind of strange that they haven't done so yet. I mean, don't you think? I mean, we just want to know, what are they trying to hide? Why is this such a difficult thing for them to do? Before we left for recess, you guys all told us that you wanted to release the files and that a non-binding resolution authored by Mr. Norman was an important step forward to getting the Epstein files released. Why hasn't that been called up yet? Mr. Scott had the authority to do so for weeks. You could do so this week. Hasn't done it. I don't know why not. Maybe Mr. Norman can explain to us why his Epstein resolution never made it to the floor. Maybe Mr. Scott can tell us would like to share with us why he decided not to call up the rule for its consideration when it was well within his power to do so. But honestly, the answers they give really don't matter, because the resolution was nothing more than a distraction to buy time. And I think we're doing the same again today. But today's resolution is even worse. At least Mr. Norman's do-nothing resolution had a deadline of 30 days. If I'm reading your resolution correctly, there's no deadline. It's just an open-ended distraction with the same goal. Protect the powerful, hide the files, and buy some time for people to forget. So, all that has to happen for the files to be released is one thing. The Trump administration needs to release them. That is all. And if that's too complicated for some Republicans to get their arms around, that's okay, because they're in luck. Someone has already done the work for them, because there is a bipartisan bill offered by Mr. Massey and Mr. Kana that would force the administration to release the Epstein files while protecting the victims. And Mr. Comer, just for the record, I think you're not in support of the Massey Kana bill, but let me ask you formally, do you support the Massey Kana bill to release the Epstein files?
We're doing that as we speak. And you said some of the documents were going to be released. All 34,000 documents will be online, hopefully in the next 5 minutes, if they're not now.
Yeah, but 97% of which we've already seen. Mr. Garcia.
Yeah, I just want to add, I mean, first, appreciate the comments, but we should be clear. I mean, if it's true, as the chairman said, that every Republican supports disclosure around the Epstein files, then every Republican should sign the discharge petition from Congressman Khanna and Congressman Massey. There's no question. And the key difference in that petition as well is that petition ensures, one, that members of Congress are all on the record on releasing the files. And two, that petition, as you have in front of you, also ensures that the files actually go to the American public, that they're actually released to the public. I appreciate that the subpoena that we forced a vote on is going to our committee, and it's important work. Most of the documents that were sent to our committee, those initial documents were given to right-wing influencers back in February. The files and the full report, according to the Attorney General, were sitting on her desk ready to be released. We know that the Attorney General herself has shared with the president directly that he is also in the files. The reason, and we don't understand why this cover-up by the president continues to not release the full files. And so the discharge petition is an important additional step forward for the Congress, the full Congress, to be on record to release the full files. And so that piece is important. And it's clear that, well, maybe there are some Republicans in Congress, and hopefully all, that want to see disclosure. That is not the case with the Republicans in the White House and the Department of Justice.
So 7 months to get released, 97% of which already been released. But again, Mr. Comer, I mean, do you support the Massey Khanna resolution? Yes or no?
We're already doing it. And let me say, the discharge petition does not have the force of law. We've already subpoenaed.
You can be,
and look, no, and I'll let you. No, look, Mr. McGovern, it's very disappointing that you're trying to politicize this. We're trying to get answers. We're trying to do everything that's in this discharge petition, but you're trying to politicize it.
No, it's a yes or no question. It's not a trick question. I mean, do you?
We've already done what the discharge petition's asking.
Do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law?
The bill has no force of law. It has no force of the law.
Yeah.
You're just trying to do a political stunt.
Look, ask the question, Mr. McGovern.
Well, I was asking a question. He interrupted me.
Okay.
It's a simple yes or no question. Simple yes or no question.
We're already doing it.
All right. Well, that's not a yes or no, but do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law, which would require the release of all the files?
It doesn't have the force of the law. It's just a political stunt. It's just a political stunt. And you know,
this is a resolution. The Khanna is a Massey Khanna bill would become law. If all you Republicans want everything released, then, you know, you could vote for it, and then if he decides to veto it, you could override the veto.
The subpoena goes further than the discharge petition. Discharge petition is just a political stunt. Just a political stunt.
All right. So
and look, we have done everything bipartisan in this investigation. This is an opportunity. And I think most of the Democrats on the Oversight Committee want to be bipartisan in this, Mr. McGovern.
So you're not going to answer my question, but look, we're meeting here under an emergency procedure to consider this resolution, which, if I'm reading it right, simply tells your committee to continue doing what you're doing. Do you need this resolution to continue doing what you're doing, Mr. Garcia? I mean,
we don't. The resolution as presented is not necessary. Again, we want disclosure. We want the files released. But what should have happened? We should vote on the discharge petition and move it forward and continue our work. Can I say one more thing, Mr. Ranking Member? I also want to be clear that the DOJ has not been forthcoming or presented everything that we've asked for in the subpoena. And I think it's important that even in our recent interaction with the DOJ, they're essentially now not giving us any new additional information as to when we're receiving the rest of the files. And so having Congress act and taking a vote on the full release of the files is an important additional step, which is why the discharge petition is important. And the resolution should not somehow take precedent or discourage members from somehow signing the discharge petition.
So help me understand what we're considering right now. Does this resolution grant you any new authority?
No.
I think the resolution will send a signal if we end up in court. If, as the victim stated today, they're some of the most powerful and some of the richest names in the world were involved in a cover-up, we're going to end up in court. And I think the resolution will demonstrate that Congress is working in a bipartisan manner, not trying to be partisan, to get the truth to the American people and hold people accountable.
Yeah, why don't we do both? I mean, Mr. Massey, last time I checked, is a Republican. Other Republicans will sign that. I mean, why can't we do both?
I think we can. I think.
Excuse me, Mr. McCarthy, would the gentleman yield a moment?
Yes.
We can. We certainly can do both.
Well, let's do.
We'll pass this resolution here, and then if sufficient people sign the discharge petition, then it will come out. And it's my understanding there is a significant difference in the resolution that we have here and the Massey resolution, and that is this resolution demands disclosure, whereas the Massey resolution does not. So I think we can do both and let that happen. We want to show that we want this done in a very important way.
Well, if we can do both, then why is the Rules Committee standing in the way of allowing? I'm going to have a vote on the Massey counter resolution. Well, why would Republicans, the Rules Committee, block us from just bringing it to the floor? We could vote on both.
Because they've already started the discharge petition.
Well, that doesn't.
They've already started it.
Yeah, well, that's a nice. Well, that's whatever. That's I don't even want to say what I'm thinking about that answer. But let me just ask. This is a yes or no question. Does the administration have the power to release the Epstein files with appropriate redactions to protect the victims and the survivors? Do they have the authority to do that?
I think so with the subpoena.
Yes.
All right, they do. But they're not. And Mr. Comey, this resolution that is before us right now says that you're investigating mismanagement that led to Mr. Epstein's death. Mm-hmm. Who was the president of the United States when Mr. Epstein died in custody?
I would assume it would have been Trump.
Yeah. And I have just one last question. You referred to Ghislaine Maxwell as a terrible individual. And I guess the question is, maybe you can enlighten us, what have you done to investigate why Ms. Maxwell was moved to a minimum security facility? I mean, she's a convicted child predator, sent to prison. She testifies before some people, the administration. She didn't testify. She answers questions that are put forward by somebody in this administration. She basically says the president didn't do anything wrong, and then all of a sudden is moved to a minimum security facility. Are you going to do? Have you done a hearing on that? Are you doing a hearing on that?
We've subpoenaed Ms. Maxwell. She sent a letter via her attorneys and said that she requested that we wait for the deposition until after the Supreme Court rules on her appeal. We're hoping that's this month. So as soon as the Supreme Court rules on her appeal, we'll go in and do a formal deposition. So Mr. Garcia will be there. I'll be there if he wants to be there.
I'm not.
And those questions can be asked. Those are legitimate questions.
Well, but I don't think Ms. Maxwell can answer those questions. I mean, I listened to some of her interview and it sounded like there was no cross-examination. I'm just curious why, after she said what she said, was she moved? So it's not about Ms. Maxwell. It's about somebody made the decision to move her, which I don't think was expected. Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be really clear. First of all, Democrats on the committee, we did not support moving Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony after the Supreme Court heard her appeal. In fact, that was the decision that the majority made that we did not support. We think that Ms. Maxwell, before she was interviewed by Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, should have been in front of a bipartisan committee in a deposition. And so to be clear, and I think it's safe to say that it's an outrage and shameful that Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a facility where she is now more comfortable and has more access to folks both on the outside and her ability to move freely. when she has victimized over hundreds and hundreds of women. And I'll add one more thing to that. We've written to the DOJ, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, demanding answers, yet no response from the Attorney General. We have no idea why she was moved and at whose direction was she moved to that facility.
But she was moved, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, by this current administration, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I
would think that, you know, I mean, this is so outrageous that a big part of the investigation of your oversight committee should be on that as well. And I mean, I hope that you pursue that. But again, I mean, I think it is imperative that we pass the Massey kind of bill, because I think it does have the force of law, and because I don't trust this administration to basically. I mean, something's going on here. I don't know what, but there's a reason why everybody went from we're going to release the files one day to the next day saying we're not. So in the spirit of full transparency and the spirit of demanding that they do what they said they were going to do, I think I think we need to do more than what we're doing. Mr. Comer?
Yeah, I was just told by counsel, the documents pertaining to the move would fall under the Department of Justice subpoena. So I think that's a fair question that I'm confident if we don't ask it, Mr. Garcia will whenever we're.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this whole episode has been outrageous and it's disgusting. And it's been strange, especially the way this Congress has dealt with it up to this point. And so some of us believe we ought to also pass the Massey kind of bill, and I hope that we will do that. I hope my friends on the Rules Committee will allow us to offer it, because I'll bring it up as an amendment. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Ms. Fishbach, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I am confused because the Oversight Committee is trying to do the investigation, trying to get the information, trying to get it released. They have been working on it most of August.
Yes.
A significant part of August. So I am confused as to why the Democrats are opposing this, because you are doing it in the way that it should be done, not some resolution added, like the Democrats attempted to in Rules Committee in the middle of, well, it wasn't the middle of the night, in the evening. But instead, this is a thoughtful way that you are handling this bipartisanly. I understand, and so I am just really confused about that. And I just want to say that I thank you for doing what you're doing, because we obviously need to figure this out in a respectful manner. So we are protecting those victims who don't want to be publicized. We're doing it in an organized manner so that things happen in a transparent manner. And we are going to, and my understanding is you are going to disclose and publish everything. Everything. And so I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, but I just wanted to point out how confused I am about this, because this is just grandstanding and political theater.
Absolutely.
From the other side, because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
We want to know. I want to know. If you look at the roster of the committee, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace, they want to know. I mean, they ask tough questions. And look, when Acosta is interviewed, there'll be some tough questions for him. He has a lot of questions that need to be answered with respect to some things. So we've not put a line down. We're only going after the Democrats. That happened in the past when the Democrats were in charge. They only went after Republicans. We want to get the truth, and it goes back. It spans 6 administrations. So look, for whatever reason, according to the victims today, and Dr. Fox was in there, Mr. Garcia was in there, they've been giving interviews to FBI and other government officials, people in various departments of justice for decades, and name names, and nothing's been done. You know, the Biden administration had an opportunity to release the Epstein files, and they didn't do it. You go back. I mean, this is something that we're committed to doing. And we want to do. I want to be able to say the Oversight Committee, this was a big investigation. The American people are watching. I want everything out and open. So, we're trying to do it, and we're trying to be bipartisan, and hopefully my friends across the aisle, I think the majority of the Oversight Democrats are sincere and want to do this in a bipartisan way. Hopefully the Democrat leadership will let this be bipartisan and not play political games.
Thank you.
Would the gentleman yield?
I will yield.
I'm confused too about something that Mr. McGovern said, that 97% of what's been released was already public information. I'm not sure why that's negative, because they keep saying that, okay, 3% is new, but now it's all available to the public. Is that correct? Because maybe it was released to some people, but now it's released to everybody, right? So everyone can see it.
Absolutely.
I don't know what the 3% is that hadn't been released before, whether it has any significance, but I'm confused, as the gentlewoman from Minnesota is confused as to why are they downplaying that, or why are they saying that's a waste of time?
I don't know. It's not. And, I think all of us during August, if we went out and met with constituents, they were all asking about this. The American people want to know. They would like, I've said this in a million interviews. They want to know, who all was involved in the sex trafficking, what big names were taking advantage of those girls, and was the government involved? Those are the three questions, and I hope we'll be able to get as much information as possible. Look, this dates back, according to what we heard today from the victims, as far back as 96. So, let's hope that there's still documents around. I've always had a huge distrust of the FBI and the Department of Justice under various administrations. And I've always had a theory that sometimes documents don't survive from one administration to the other. We're going to do everything we can to get that information. And I think this resolution's a step in the right direction. I don't think the other thing's needed.
I thank the lady for yielding.
Thank you. But just to reiterate, I just hope that the Democrats will stop the grandstanding and really, work on the bipartisan oversight committee and making sure that these things are dealt with. I think it's a disservice to all of the victims to not work and to pretend that this is somehow bad, but focus on it and make sure, I'm asking the Democrats, make sure that it's bipartisan, make sure that you're doing what needs to be done, the disclosure is done and the investigation is done. Because this isn't something that should be about political points. This is about something that we should investigate. And so with that, I just hope that they would come with us and help with the Oversight Committee investigation.
Thank you.
With that, I yield back.
Thank you.
Ms. Scanlon, you're recognized.
And I would yield to Mr. McGovern for a minute.
I'm sorry there's so much confusion on the Republican side of the aisle. I don't understand why we're just not all demanding that the administration release all the files. And we could do that if we were able to vote on the Massey Connor resolution. But apparently we can't do that. And forgive me if I'm just a little bit suspicious about all this going on here, because I've been on this committee all year with all of you, and I have watched as we have weaved and dodged and avoided bringing anything to the floor dealing with this. And I've also, we began our August recess early because none of you wanted to take a vote and hold this administration accountable, and you ran out of town. So again, and want to do something bipartisan, maybe we all can join on a bipartisan appeal to this administration to find out why Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a cushy facility after she exonerated Donald Trump. So I'm sorry. I mean, we've lived through the last several weeks as Republicans have tried to avoid dealing with this issue. And so I hope, and I trust that there's bipartisan cooperation on the Oversight Committee. And I want that investigation to move forward. But for the life of me, I do not understand why the administration, after promising to release all the files, has chosen not to. So that's what I'm confused about. I thank the gentlelady for yielding.
Thank you. Mr. Comer, I think in your introduction, just for folks who are trying to play catch up here, because there's a lot of details and a lot of names being thrown around, you said that one of the issues here is that the U.S. attorney who initially handled Mr. Epstein's case gave him a sweetheart deal. That's right, isn't it?
Was the initial U.S. attorney was who?
Well, you didn't name him, but it was Alex Acosta, right?
I don't know if he was the initial, but he was one of them. Yeah, he gave him,
So he was the U.S. attorney appointed by George Bush in
One of
Florida,
them,
whatever
yes.
district, and he's the one that gave the deal to Epstein, where he served a couple months, but basically got out on release every day, despite all the horrific crimes that we now know occurred. Okay, and in his later career, he became Secretary of Labor in the first Trump administration, right? And he had to leave after reporting disclosed this sweetheart deal. Is that right?
I don't know what caused him to leave, but
It was about that time.
okay.
So, Mr. Garcia, I know we've heard that you've received some materials. Are there redactions in those materials?
There are appropriate redactions. We will be able to review the full materials. There'll be some opportunity to review the materials without some redactions from the committee staff and committee members that don't put any of the victims in harm's way. But there are some, again, the reality about the materials though is there's nothing really with a small amount, a couple thousand pages of new information. And all the information was first given to right-wing influencers back in February, and then has been released to the public, whether it's been through the media or other ways. And so we can get the full files today. We know the DOJ has them. They're not answering our questions. We're asking, when are we getting the rest of the files? We get no response. And to clarify one thing, Ms. Gallen, I think it was said earlier by another member of the committee that we're somehow opposing this resolution, or we're not opposing anything. We want full disclosure. If the majority wants to put together a resolution to add to more disclosure, that's fine. But that resolution should in no way supplant the discharge petition or serve as some kind of distraction to not get the full Congress on record to release all the files.
Okay. I mean, I guess I was asking about the redactions because there's been reporting that under Attorney General Bondi, hundreds of FBI and DOJ man hours have been dedicated to redacting all references to the president. So is there anything to indicate that the materials you've received thus far contain some of those redactions?
So we believe that the materials that we've received so far there are redactions in there. We are reviewing some of those redactions currently. The team still is, but we believe that again, that a vast majority of those documents are actually not presenting any new information. And we do believe there are important and critical documents that we have not yet received from the DOJ that contain important information to this investigation, and we have yet to see those.
Do you have explanations for the redactions that you have seen thus far? Have those been provided by DOJ?
We do have some explanation of some of the redactions, but there are no documents in what we have been presented that are of concern as it relates to redactions.
I'm just concerned because that is one of the pieces of the Massey underlying legislation, which is that to the extent the DOJ turned over any materials, it would have to explain any redactions or claims of privilege or whatever.
But that's important, certainly in future documents. So as more documents come forward, ensuring that that is a piece of it is going to be important.
And I guess going back to this issue of Ghislaine Maxwell getting this cushy assignment, my understanding is that when she was moved to this new facility, that was against Bureau of Prison regulations, and someone higher up from the White House or the Attorney General's office would have had to excuse that normal Bureau of Prison rule.
That is correct.
Right? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you. Anything else you want to add?
Just that I think that Republicans should join Democrats on the Oversight Committee and others in demanding answers as to why Ghislaine Maxwell was moved and who gave the orders to move Ghislaine Maxwell. We still don't know that answer.
I think that's an important part as well. And pleased to have been able to sign the discharge petition before we came up for this hearing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scanlon. Mr. Norman, you're recognized.
I thank both of you for coming. I think what's interesting about this hearing, Mr. Governor, you've been kind of very critical of everything that's been going on here and about you need answers, and some of it we do need answers on. But the biggest, and you said things were outrageous and whatnot, you're confused. What I'm confused about, you were elected to Congress in 1997, 28 years. You were chairman of this committee, the Rules Committee, from 2019 to 23. Now, if this is all of a sudden so important, when you as chairman, you had every right to bring up everything we're talking about now. What did we hear from you? Crickets. So that's the big confusion I have. And Representative Comer, the thing about political grandstanding, that's all this is.
Well, I didn't.
And I don't.
I'm campaigning saying it was a release to Epstein files.
If I've got the floor, I recognize you, but we're not going to talk over each other. Have some decency. This is an anti-Trump. You're asking all these questions. Who released Ghislaine Maxwell? When you had the opportunity, you didn't say one word. This is anti-Trump, and it's coming out for that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: how many victims were interviewed today?
6.
And you think it's hundreds?
They said it was hundreds, like close to 1,000, but hundreds. It's what the attorneys for the victim the attorneys were represented by 4. The victims were represented by 4 attorneys, and they said as many as 1,000.
So the process is moving forward.
Right.
We all know the discharge petition. I don't mind having 2 tracks. But bottom line is, Mr. Governor knows it has to go to the Senate. I don't know what they'll do with it, but it's going to take time. You're not waiting on anything.
No.
You're moving forward.
We're moving forward.
And like Chairman Fox said, everything's going to get released. Now, let me ask you this. Are the flight logs public information? Who flew on the planes?
Is that? Okay. Some are, but the estate subpoena should cover more of that.
We all know anybody how far back with the flight logs? You can alter a flight log on an air. If you're flying on a plane, you can.
Back to 1990.
Okay, 1990. We know people that were on that flight weren't going over there to have Bible studies.
Right.
They were doing other things. So we'll see, is your opinion, all the flight logs of whoever went, doesn't matter.
Right.
That will be released.
Yeah. I mean, I want to know. I think everybody wants to know.
You hit it on the head, James. I mean, people want to know the names.
Yeah.
If a crime has been committed against thousands of women, young girls, this transcends politics. That's why I don't understand. The fact that you're politicizing this is not right. This transcends. This is young girls getting abused. So the fact that the flight logs will be released, we'll know the names of who flew over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the public, I think that's the big name. If crimes have been committed, who did it?
Right.
And then let them face a trial. Let
Absolutely.
them face a jury of peers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think Ms. Scanlon said the redactions by Attorney General Bondi contained things with President Trump. Now, what did you say, Representative Garcia? That was not right. Correct?
I think, well, first, to be clear, I think the Attorney General herself has said that President Trump is in the Epstein files. To be clear, that's been reported. And as far as what redactions include the president, we don't have the files yet to know what those redactions actually are.
But when you get the files, both of you will ask the question: why were they redacted? Who did it? And as far as who put Miss Maxwell in another prison, I assume that will come forward.
Well, and to be clear, our request has been to redact the names of the victims. There shouldn't be circumstances, nor would we support redacting the names of the perpetrators or anyone that actually committed the harm. And so that would not be our expectation. And so we think the full release of the files is important to check that work, of course.
Okay. So so it's not, nothing with President Trump has been redacted to your knowledge of what's been released so far.
If anything with President Trump's name has been redacted, it has not been, it's not something that's been in anything, it's not any new information. Okay. So that has not been presented to the public.
So this just further illustrates this is just a hatred of a president who has got support of 77 million people.
I mean, sir, I mean, it's the president that actually campaigned on releasing the full files when he was running. I mean, he had made this the central issue of one of the central issues of his campaign.
Aside from that, you had 4 years under the Biden administration. He was chairman of a committee. He could have brought it up day one, didn't do it. So if all of a sudden the interest, to be honest, I'm glad it's coming out now. There's been a lot transpired with Ghislaine Maxwell, the death of, I don't know, when did Epstein die?
2019, August.
2019. Okay, so a lot's happened over the 20 years of this. Well, thank you for what you're doing. I think that the public needs to know, as they do on most everything. There are a lot of questions of the government involvement in the shooting of President Trump. I mean, that's going to come out at some point. Not only Butler, Pennsylvania, but the golf course. So is there anything you want to add to what Mr. Garcia or any?
No, I just think that, you know, the subpoena covers everything. I mean, if there are flight logs with the estate, that'll fall under the subpoena. If there are questions about why Maxwell was moved from Florida to Texas, that'll fall under the DOJ subpoena. So we are moving forward, and the Department of Justice has been working with us to turn over those documents. It takes a long time to gather and transfer 34,000 pages, and we're hopeful there's more, and we'll look at that and then post it online as quick as we can.
Okay.
Mr. Norman, would you yield for a minute?
Pardon me?
Would you yield for a minute?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'll yield.
Sure. I just wanted to seek unanimous consent to put in the Newsweek article from August 1st of this year, so just last month, in which it talks about the fact that Trump's name was in the Jeffrey Epstein files and that 1,000 FBI agents were redacting those files to remove his name and others. So it's an August 1st, 2025 Newsweek report. It was also in Bloomberg and several other things, but I know we were on break, so you might have missed it. I yield.
Without objection.
So what you just said, y'all will be able to get into that, won't you? So you'll be able to answer every question. Now, Mr. McGovern, in fairness to you, you want to answer why, when you were chairman of this committee, you didn't bring up anything about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, I mean, one is I didn't campaign that I was going to release the Epstein files.
No.
Donald Trump made it into a big issue, and then we all expected it was going to be released, and then he decided at the last minute to change his mind, called people, said it was a big hoax, said Republicans were stupid, is like for going along with it, and so those are his words. And by the way, Ghislaine Maxwell just got transferred like a month ago, so I wasn't chairman then. Of the committee.
No. Of 2019 to 2023, you were chairman.
I would have. Yeah, I mean, if people had brought to my attention that there was something there, I would have demanded that they be released.
The victims, no.
Well, I mean, if the victims came to
that
us,
didn't hold water.
Yeah, but the victims want the files released, and Republicans have been frustrating that effort for months and months and months. And you even adjourned early to avoid having to vote on it.
That is not true.
I want the truth out there. I want the files out there.
I'm taking my time back. I'm reclaiming my time. The fact is, if you had all the interest that you do now, it's just because of Donald Trump. You had 4 years to do it as chairman of this committee. You've been in Congress 28 years. You and I both know the victims. This has been out that young girls have been victimized for the last 15 years, and you did nothing, which it shows you the hatred they have, and everything's political up here, particularly when it comes to Donald Trump. But the American people don't agree with you. Thank you, both of you, for testifying. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. Ms. Leisure-Fernandez, you're recognized.
Hello. Chairwoman, we are back, aren't we? And we're back on Epstein, which is where we were before, indeed, Johnson shut down Congress early so we would not have to vote on a motion to put on the floor of the House the Massey-Hannah resolution to force the release of the Epstein files to the public, to pass a bill that would make it law that all of the files would have to be released. And there is no reason why we cannot still have that be a rule. And we can do both. But Republicans, and Trump especially, seem terrified of those files and seem willing to do all kinds of things to avoid a vote on that bill.
I know.
Now, I want to go into some other things, but I'm going to yield some time to my ranking member.
No, I would just want to respond to Mr. Norman. I knew there was some there.